Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason where I have received a comment that went something along the lines of how come the Brightworks hasn't checked out any of those OP pro level lobbies in a while. We've seen the same names and faces all over the place, and you know what? They're absolutely right. So today we're going to be checking out a game that was played recently on Ice Cream. Don't know the version of this map, but Ice Cream, the most up-to-date version, I suppose. It was played very, very recently, at least as of recording this, by some of the top-notch players that happen to linger around in the ranked game lobby. So today, happy to introduce our blue team leader, coming in well above my own OS grade, a commander that goes by the name of Zhao. Zhao representing the Hello Clan, going to be playing as an Armada commander, and I love to see it. You all know I love my Armada gameplay. Gonna be playing some bots right up here on the front line. This is the faction and the tech that I appreciate the most. It's my favorite in the entire game to play. Legion's up there, certainly, but Armada is where my heart belongs. So I'm very excited to see 55 open skill be playing some good old-fashioned Armada bots. All the way on the other side of the map, spawning as the Cortex commander, spawning as the Red commander, and spawning as the Zakrus themselves. None other than Zakrus, the Zakrus of all time. Gonna be playing right here, as some Cortex bots. So this is interesting. We've effectively got the blue and red commanders in the exact same but mirrored positions, right? Very slightly different. Technically, the green commander is where the red commander is, but it is also interesting that we're going for 2 Cortex here for the red versus 2 Arm here for the blue. Very color coordinated. Oh, I love some good color coordination right now coming out from both of these teams. Very cool indeed. Now, Ice Cream is a map that's infamous in short for its lengthy match times, but this one did also happen to appear to go quite quickly. Yeah, as far as Ice Cream matches go, 20-ish or, closer to 30-ish minutes. Definitely very, very quick. Excellent scout coming out right here from the Cyan Commander. Shrek 3 on DVD, a name I well remember because, it's one of the better ones, right? Shrek 3 was definitely one of the best DVD copies, but there's an argument for Shrek 2. But anyways, Cyan Commander here getting a beautiful scout of exactly what's going on in the backline. Ooh, a little bit of an APM stall means that it will go down, but not the end of the world here because it does mean that we already know exactly where the red, brown, pink, and orange commanders are all going to be playing. Meanwhile, blue ticks do manage to sneak into the backline right here, killing Hunter Jasper's defensive tick, and now they pop into the backline, gonna snipe a Mex, and maybe a couple more. Ooh. Second Mex goes down, and there's 3. The full hat trick right now from the blue commander. My goodness. Zhao showing us just how it's done right now, with the green ticks following up right now. Some beautiful teamwork from Quartz and Zhao playing together. LLT will defend this base from the tick harassment right here, as well as some more of those hot pink ticks, but a couple of wind turbines also go down right now, as the green commander manages to sneak a couple of those pesky T1 scout bots into the backline. Beautifully done. It's something I urge all Armada commanders to go for. If you're going to be playing some Armada, especially on a wide open map like this, the Flats and Forests is another map that I think comes to mind when I think of big open maps. Going for a couple of those ticks early on can really help you shut down the enemy's economy, buy you a huge advantage over time, just like it has already for the blue and green commanders, who now have all the freedom in the world to expand forward, while their opponent has to expand backwards. Blitz is now blasting away over here at a bunch of grunts. Not bad. Grunts microed backwards actually can outpace a blitz. It's kind of a weird interaction. It's one of those few interactions we have in this game where the micro actually makes the difference. Certainly, similar thing happens with grunts versus pawns in the sense that the grunts have slightly larger range, but the pawns have slightly faster move speed. It means that they can catch the grunts. If the pawns are paying attention, the grunts can catch the pawns off guard. It's very tricky, but mastering that is definitely one of the skills of all time. This is an excellent surround, though. Brown commander getting a beautiful surround on a whole bunch of the green grunts. That's the entire green army for the early game completely shut down. To Rev Dog, the green commander, hailing with 9 open skill, and from the great lands of America, going to be forced to rebuild that army here. Yeah, reinforcing from the back line. We have a single constructor building out of this back lab right here. Not the end of the world, and we do have another constructor on the way, but we're definitely going to need, to scale up that build power here ever so quickly. Construction turret coming up right now as more and more of those ticks do make it through. Oh my goodness. The poor maroon commander, 9 open skill, suffering the wrath of 55. My goodness, that's a devastating difference right there, but certainly showing us exactly what that difference looks like. Non-stop aggression from the blue commander, remembering to constantly send out these aggression waves, making sure to shut down Hunter Jasper's expansions right now, making sure that that maroon commander never feels comfortable taking a single expansion forward here. Yeah. This is what oppressive early gameplay looks like. When you're going for that T1 era, this is what you're hoping for. This is what you're aiming for. A couple of grunts getting a decent engagement here against these blitzes. A beautiful concave means that they will take a decent fight, but of course there's only so much those bots can do against the vehicles. Vehicles with substantially more HP just in general on average, it means that you're going to be fighting in uphill battles no matter when you're fighting against essentially the equivalent unit here. Blitz is basically the equivalent vehicle parity to the grunt or the pawn, either one of those. The incisor sort of the counter, or sort of, yeah, the counterplate to the grunt. So you can see how this all lines up very, very nicely right here for any of the players that are going for, any of the players that are going for vehicles right now. They're having a wonderful time. Ooh, Zagrus with the killer D-gun right there, wipes out some of those blitzes. Red Commander not willing to yield this LLT right here, this medium laser turret here, the Twin Guard anti-swarm tower, as it blasts away at a whole bunch of this. Meanwhile, Goblin Penetrator Force, or pardon me, not Goblin, I'm playing a lot of Legion. That's the Legion T1 if you're not familiar with Legion very much. These are grunts, the Cortex T1s, and they get blasted down relatively easily by this exploiter up here. Love to see that exploiter actually, that's a wonderful position on that. It gives you a essentially a constant defense setup on that hillside. Looks like Compound is moving forward right here, gets a D-gun on the LLT, takes about 9% damage for it. Definitely not the end of the world right there for the Hot Pink Commander. TKD back kick the Seafoam Green Commander and Zhao, both marching forward, both producing a bunch of those tanks. Looks like the Blue Commander has made the sharp pivot directly into T1 arm vehicles. Yeah, and is pivoting out of those the bots in the backline here. So going for those advanced solars with a bunch of constructors, eating up the solars with the resbot back here. Some beautiful macro in the background right here as we watch a whole bunch of incisors push forward right now. Shuriken in position to try and shut down as many of these incisor as possible, but frankly speaking, there's just too many on the field. A lot of them do manage to escape with their lives. Centurion quite nice for shutting this down. You can see they do decent damage against those tanks, but obviously only when corpses aren't blocking the way. Happens more often than you think. In fact, that's the bane of most Armada technology, is just corpse piles, yeah. Corpses build up and it shuts down some of the best, even the T3 units for Armada factions. I'm imagining Razorback's certainly one of them that shuts down really easily. There's also Centurions, of course, which we just saw a moment ago. Here's Zhao with some of that killer micro, repairing up some of these vehicles. Hey, look at that, the Seafoam Green Commander helping with the repair right there as well. Lovely stuff. Did we just eat up the lab? Oh, we sure did. Wow, Blue Commander already going for a T2 lab. 7 minutes into the game with this frontline economy that's been phenomenal, and by shutting down so much of the economy here from the Maroon Commander, there's really nothing to contest all this. Tank Commander looking to make the difference right here. Ooh, doesn't turn towards the T2 though, instead turning towards this base. The, Green Commander manages to blast down a bunch of those incisors with a D-gun. The Janus tanks are quite good for defending here as well, and just like that, the incisors have been very nicely dealt with. Big force pushing forward right here though. Trev Dog looking for the connection. Oh, some juicy D-guns right there. About 800, maybe 600 metal worth of, maybe closer to 800 with those tanks going down right there, and with the constructor bot as well. Trev Dog, what I mean to say is finding phenomenal value with this commander on the front lines. Very nicely done by the Green Commander, taking a very efficient engagement right there, shutting down what otherwise could be a very dangerous spiral. Position over here, looking quite nice. The slow siege from these rocket trucks, obviously not going to instantly blast down a commander, but it does put you in a decent position over time. T-Bites, the Lavender Commander, as well as Trev Dog, again, trying to move into position here. These riot tanks having a rough time. Yeah, the hillside's making this very difficult. Oh, but that's the connection they're looking for against a bunch of those grunts. Grunts probably should have waited for the Shuriken. Not gonna last long enough, though. Beautiful Janus missile connections right there as well, splashing on top of all the T1 Rocketeers that the Maroon Commander is pumping out. Always so difficult to figure out the proper response right here going up against those Janus tanks. Usually you're put into such a rough position when suddenly 5 or 6 Janus tanks appear on the front line and all you have are rocket bots. It takes a lot of precise micro in order to avoid those Janus missiles. I love this Mass Centurion playstyle right here from Quartz as well. Allows them so much flexibility in engaging on the front line, as well as sturdiness against even these medium tanks here. Normally something that bots never can really afford. The Centurion just barely sturdy enough, especially in numbers, that they really can go toe-to-toe with the Stouts. Artillery trucks slowly encroaching here, but we do have the T2 lab up and running, and my goodness, this is quick. The 9-minute T2 lab, probably quicker than that really, probably closer to 8-minute T2 lab. We already have the T2 mexes coming up and online here as well. This is a phenomenal play right here from the Blue Commander. You can see expanding in the back with these constructors. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see more advanced solar panels coming up, as we also have 2 T2 constructors expanding the backline economies here. Yeah, maybe latching the constructors wouldn't be the worst idea either. Still just a T1 push right now, and if you're reading into this on the front line, seeing that there's no reinforcements right here from the blue commander should signal that something is afoot. There's definitely something going on, the fact that there's no more forces pushing forward from the blue commander. But does the maroon commander read that? I don't think so. I don't think they have the comfort of, the comfort of units right now to read that. They really can't afford to spare anything. Incisors, getting a decent jump right here, actually, on a bunch of these units. They are going to manage to blast down one of those Incisor, if not the commander, as Zhao's commander actually getting pretty low. Taking a lot of hits from those Incisors, but really 73%, not that bad. Yeah, dodging those missiles left, right, and center is going to be important, but obviously that commander can just go ahead and retreat to the backline and let some of these units clean up. At the very least, that Janus tank does fall. Missile trucks, rather, pushing forward right here. The T2 Scorpion turret from God Hates Cowards going to be holding the front line right here. God Hates Cowards already well into a T2 transition. As you can see, we've got the T2 mechs up and running. We've also got the advanced geothermal up and running, so just pumping out massive amounts of resources right now, looking to set up, no doubt, a forward production center here. We've got tons of build power set up, looking to reinforce this with the Scorpion turret, and then no doubt go into something a little bit better a little bit down the line. T2 mechs is coming up right now for the blue commander. We are now up to a whopping 45 metal per second-ish for the blue commander up against the yellow commander's 73 is impressive. Yeah, that advanced geo allows you a lot of extra space moving forward, something the blue commander did not go for here. Oh yeah, there we go. Okay, we did tap the advanced geo at the very least, so we're going to upgrade our teammates' advanced geo, but it's Grizzly, the purple commander, who actually owns that geo and is going to be pumping out the energy from it. Grizzly in the backline right here, going for a little bit of more of an eco-centered build. While the blue commander maintains presence on the front with just a commander, there is still no sign of T2 in sight here for Hunter Jasper. Still not expecting to see anything but T1. Now with the cheeky little reclaim micro, trying to eat all that up. Ooh, Centurion engagement. Love a good Centurion engagement. There we go. Blasted apart by the Janus missiles. But if they manage to get within range, you can see they're sturdy enough to withstand at least one of those Janus missiles. And it means that if they all focus on one of the Centurion, I'm sure it'll die, but it does mean the rest of them can get a gnarly surround around it and manage to actually do decently against some of those otherwise very difficult to deal with tanks. It's not one of those solutions that can, single-handedly shut down a full-blown push, but it's a solution that if you build up over time can effectively shut down that play if you fully invest to it, right? It's a significant investment, but you also get a significant reward out of it. Time for the lightning tanks to move forward. They spot the Tan commander right here, who tries to get a D-gun, manages to catch one of those tanks, but doesn't manage to catch another. The flamethrower turret here killing two of those tanks as well. But just like that, a whopping 8 of these tanks managed to make it into the backlines. Blasting down some of these air forces here with their anti-air missiles is always nice as well. But their main target, of course, is going to be somebody's very precious eco. And it looks like the red commander is going to be the main target here. Janus tanks in position, fire away, missiles discharged, and just like that, dealt with quite nicely. Wind turbines way too close together right there, now chain reacting in the red base. The Centurion on the defense here trying to shut this down as well. You know what, I guess I don't mind the Centurion here for shutting down the lightning tanks if they're in killer position. Not the case this time though. Ooh, wind turbines are chain reactable right there. I'd love to see 1 or 2 blasts centered in the middle, and there we go. Wind turbines chain react and shut down a huge portion of the red commander's main energy productions. The crew's in a ton of trouble at this point. Artillery pieces, my goodness, artillery pieces firing away. That's a whopping 20 shell shockers now barraging this frontline Dragon Spa right here. Shows you the sturdiness of those pop-up turrets, by the way. Just the fact that those alone can manage to survive all that. Lightning turrets find the advanced geo. They want to snipe it, but they're not going to have the chance. The grunts do come in to clean all this up, so at the very least the AGO will stay alive, as well as some of the build power here in the backline for the red commander. Meanwhile, Sheldon Ball pushing forward, and the Powder Blue Commander's forward assault factory is going to be shut down. The Sheldon's now blasting away at everything with their absolutely disgusting 850 range. Fiends on the front here to absorb some of the assault forces is beautiful as well, and this is all a very nicely concerted push. That commander lying in the dirt is a juicy temptation, but we're going to want to send more reinforcements forward, and indeed we do have them marching their way across the battlefield, sprinting more like as those Fiends and Grunts march at full pace towards these Janus tanks, absorbing a face full of missile, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, more units beats less units, and there's significantly more here for the yellow commander, who is now pressing into the main production field of the blue commander. All this eco in the backline worthless now that the lap has gone down, just going to waste. And just like that, the yellow commander has broken through. It's a race against the clock here. Ooh, Centurions grinding their way down south here as well. Zacruz in a little bit of trouble, actually. Yeah, Centurion blasting away. This commander was not on hold fire while it was cloaked, so it was shooting while trying to cloak at the same time. Always a bit of a contentious issue, the whole shooting while cloaked issue. In this case, not the end of the world, as the Centurions don't really have the speed to keep up with that commander. Couple of Starlight headed out to the battlefield. Love the new range indicators, by the way. They showcase the actual effective fire range right here, so you can see this thing can only fire in a cone in front of it, so it kind of tells you a bit more, a little bit more accurately what you're actually dealing with here. I'm certainly a fan of accurate ballistics information, certainly very useful. Meanwhile, T-Bite's in a lot of trouble. Down goes the Lavender Commander. Boom! In a puddle of their own metal and oil. Just like that, falling to the force of the Sheldon. My goodness, the Sheldon has impressed me over the last couple of days. It feels like if you're not making Sheldons, you're really wasting your potential as a commander on the front lines. Despite all the opportunities, all the potential that Armada has, Sheldon seem to be reigning supreme. I wonder if there's a counter in the works or maybe a rebalance headed our way, because Sheldon have not seemed to be stoppable. Yeah, once you get that Sheldon ball up and running. Somebody has pointed out that, to their fair credit, even this few Sheldon, this is only 10 Sheldon, is 4,000 metal worth of investment. So a costly investment, surely, but it seems seemingly for an extremely powerful unit on the front lines. Fiends blasting their way through, though, and they do manage to slowly but surely chip away at the assault forces. Is it going to be enough? I don't think so. Reinforcements will clean up the rest of this, and the yellow Sheldon do stay alive to blast down another building another day. Very nicely done. God hates cowards. Pushing forward right here. Zacruz trying to rebuild after that devastating attack on the back line, trying to get the economy back up and running, trying to get things squared away. The red commander now stepping forward, looking to get their hands on some juicy reclaim on the front lines right now, but really it's the yellow commander racing the clock against the blue. Starlight are blasted down right here. Looks like that agitator managed to do that. Wow. Well, there you go. Agitator with 7 kills right here, apparently getting its money's worth on the front line. Couple of bull tanks finally bring that hero down, that 1,200, or no, 1,300, right? Yeah, 1,300 metal hero. Bull's such a devastating unit. Very, very dangerous on the front line. Zhao actually overflowing metal, yeah, with nothing in the back line here. Oh, there we go. We're putting a fusion reactor down. And otherwise overflowing tons and tons of metal. I wonder if we meant to queue up a bunch of build power back here or what the situation is. Ah, I see what the situation is. The blue commander saving up funds right now in order to go for a T3 lab. Looking to break this northern front line with just a little bit of good old-fashioned Armada T3. The question is, what are we going to be going for? Could be Fiends, pardon me, not Fiends, could be Razorbacks, could be Marauders. The two options that come to mind, because Razorbacks are extremely powerful against this sort of spammy composition. Marauders are, of course, very fast and very mobile, which gives you a lot of flexibility on maps like this. The Bulls, my goodness, still finding so much value out here on the front. Zhao's commander also finding value. Repairing these tanks is so interesting. Usually we see the commanders pulled back around the T2 era just because they're so fragile compared to the T2. Zhao not interested in any of that, saying, yeah, you know what, that commander is valuable build power, 300 of it that I need on the front line. I think I'd better spend some of that on repairing my tanks, and you know what, I'm all here for it. Advanced Solar's mostly eaten up right here as the blue commander starts working on some of those Razorbacks. Green forces are diverted southwards. If you can't beat them, you may as well join them, says the green commander, pumping out about 1.5 billion Sheldon, trying to get the engagement that they need to shut down this push that's otherwise swarmed through the southern side of the blue team. Can't help but notice that the blue team is also a little bit lacking for anti-air. Makes me wonder if maybe a bombing run would be in the works right here. The pink commander would be in charge of that. That's going to be a Dumas 11, hailing from Canada, going to be in charge of sending bombers across the map right here. Zacruz in a little bit of a rough way. Yeah, taking some cover behind the behind the lab right there. Not gonna work as those plasma projectiles phase directly through reality and into the face of the 42 open skill developer Chevron hero commander, losing its life right here on the side of the blue team. Now finally forced back now that Razorbacks have hit the field. Razorback going to be basically perfect for shutting down all this T1 aggression right here. They're the end-all be-all as far as T1 spam goes. They shut down T1 with such brutal efficiency that there's not really anything you can do about it with a T1 era unit. Essentially, all you can do is send out as many spy bots or Fiends as possible. I guess Fiends can overwhelm them sometimes. You need a massive amount of Fiends, and now that there's 2 Razorbacks, it's going to be nearly impossible. Razorback snowball very quickly, especially against T2. Tick spam headed out here as well is always nice. Going to be depleting some of the charges right here from the Sheldon as they retreat and fire backwards at the same time. Also helping provide a lot of vision for those Razorbacks to actually fire away into the distance accurately. Spybot here, looking for the juicy connection. Oh, and I think he's found it. I think he's found it. Boom goes the Spybot right between the two Razorbacks. 19 seconds of paralyzation will be more than enough for this massive army of grunts and fiends to move forward, launching their surprise attack. Beautifully done right there from the Yellow Commander. What a comeback maneuver. Finds the T3, finds a solution, and manages to do a huge amount of damage to these very expensive early T3 units. Razorbacks now obviously going to be way more wary about the fact that there's T3 over there. Sheldon continuing to push forward over here, though. Yeah, Fiend's finding an opening right now, and the Sheldon more than happy to take advantage of it. Razorback pushing forward on this northern side as well. Spybot trying to catch him, but just can't. Not in the nick of time, and just like that, oh, there we go. Finally, Spybot connects, but a little too late as the red facility has already gone down. Now, don't get me wrong, they can always be recycled into the backlines over here, but these Razorbacks are still a menace on the fronts. Less and less, though, as more of these corpses go down, and the Razorbacks have a harder and harder time actually firing at a lot of these units here. Spybot's continuing to paralyze multiple parts of this front line right here. Love the plays from God Hates Cowards, continuing to expand in the back with a couple of aphises, and continuing to pressure the front with a bunch of Spybot Fiend grunt aggression. It's a lot of APM to micro all of this, but 40 open skill, you're certainly going to expect to have it. In fact, I believe if I hover over these arrows, no, I hover over this, you can see actions per minute of 77, which is quite high for Beyond All Reason. Certainly, definitely up there. 36 right here for the Red Commander, and you can see about 54 for the Blue Commander. Sending units left, right, and center, trying desperately to keep all these front lines alive simultaneously. We do have a Pulsar coming up on the front over here as well to try and thwart any early T3 that might be heading up towards this northern side. We don't have T3 up and ready, though. Yeah, the red team definitely a lot slower to get those T3 out, and even though so many of these T3 have gone down, the res bots are already up and running and eating up loads of the wreckage available on the blue side of the map. Without T3 to contest that wreckage, the blue team is really just going to be trading out these T3 units efficiently, even if they're trading out nonetheless. Nice D again right there from Compound 116, Element 115. The, sorry, that's a little Call of Duty reference. Call of Duty Zombies, man, you remember those games? Boy, they went, in a, how do I say this politely? They went in a different direction, didn't they? Saw one of the most recent saw some gameplay of one of the most recent Call of Duty Zombies, and man, that was not the game that I grew up on. Fair enough, I mean, you gotta innovate, sure, but, yeah, certainly a little strange to have the, like, nostalgia ripped out of your hands like that, right? Anyway, sorry, side tangent. The Razorbacks still continuing to torment this front line. Again, Grunts and Fiends not going to be ideal against a bunch of Razorbacks. Really, the Razorbacks are basically the perfect counter. Yeah, I can't think of a better unit for shutting down a whole bunch of those units. Looks like this Razorback will accidentally kill the Jammer right there. Is always nice as well. Sheldon, of course, blasting away at anything they can find as well. They built up to such sufficient numbers that at this point, they really can just blast down anything that stands in their way. Even some of the sturdiest units are going to fall very rapidly under the waterfall of fire that is the Sheldon beam. In a turn of events, the Blue Commander is going to be the one sending out the first bombing attack of the game, as a whole bunch of fighters as well as some scout craft here. Love the inclusion of the scout planes. For one, the scout planes have a high targeting priority, which means, yeah, all these T1 fighters are trying to go after the scouts right there. Means that the T2 fighters can mop them up. Loads of bombers, in fact, all the bombers die right there over the AGO. But at the very least, it wipes out another huge portion of the map right here for the red team. T3 finally starts up for the Orange Commander, who's got a stellar economy in the backline here, a triple APHIS, multiple E-converters going up and running at the same time. But it's already been up and running for the Blue Commander for a good long while, and now we're finally seeing a transition into those advanced fusion reactors. But it just goes to show what the difference is between the fusion reactor scaling and the advanced fusion reactor scaling. Getting those fusion reactors up and running sometimes more efficient, because it means that you can have economy growing for longer in the game than you otherwise would if it took you longer to build the APHIS. Definitely an interesting trade-off between those two, and if you run the numbers, there is like a mathematically correct spreadsheet way to play this, right? Where you you go for some hybrid of both, and then you eat up one and mix it in and kind of fold it over and double back, you know. All sorts of crazy shenanigans that you can go for as far as macro is concerned, but the blue player is showing us just about how good a human can do it. by managing all the different facets of it all at the same time, and mostly just cutting out the middleman by going for a massive amount of fusion reactors. Razorbacks now in the backline, happy to blast down a bunch of these Sheldon that it's managed to catch. Yeah, Sheldon in a desperate way here trying to shut down this Razorback. Not going to be happy about the way that that reacts as it makes its way towards the backline. Karganeth now rolling out of the labs right here from the Orange Commander. Jeff 007 going to be pumping those Karganeth out as quickly as possible, and they do trade decently against Razorback. Kind of a weird engagement right here. The Karganeth at 2,500, the Razorback of 3,800. A little bit of flanking damage, though, from that tank, and the Karganeth will prevail. Already, though, so much damage has been done as now the blue army crawls forward, the Vanguard firing away for just miles across the map. Now able to do huge amounts of work across the battlefield. Razorbacks have also been resurrected all over the place, which is cool to see, and it's the advantage that the early T3 had done. If we had the same timing on the T3, the red team probably would have been able to contest some of those corpses, reclaim them, or maybe even resurrect them. But because the T3 was so early for the blue team, it meant that the Razorbacks were essentially able to cover their own dead brethren, meaning that all that reclaim was recycled into a beautiful push right here from the blue team. It's about as textbook perfect as it can get. Pardon me, I'm a little out of breath after this one. This has been action-packed. Left, right, and center, back and forth the entire game. Bombers headed towards the base. Anti-air is in position right here, but it's a little too close to the facility. Oh, just barely those aphises stay online as those bombers do come plummeting out of the sky. If not anything, at the very least, finding out where those aphis are, meaning that T3 units should be on the way in that direction. Demons now coming out of the lab right here from the Orange Commander, who's halted all eco-scaling. Usually best bet is to produce some T3 units, eat the lab, make some more eco, build the lab, build some more T3 units. You kind of jump back and forth between the three, maybe handing off units here and there to different commanders. But obviously that requires having commanders to hand those units off to, and just as that moment passes, so does the vote to resign from the red team, meaning the blue team will snatch victory in today's game. Today's heated game of Beyond All Reason. Very, very nicely played right here from the blue team. The blue players specifically showing us exactly how it's done. Just how quick those top tier players can get up and running into the late game. Essentially an epic late game at the 26-minute mark. Beautiful to see. Always lovely to see these high level players. And I'm so glad that somebody left a comment that reminded me just how OP this game can be. Thanks a ton for watching, and I sure hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to subscribe down below if you'd like to join the Brightworks community. We've also got a Discord channel popping off just about every single day of the week, Tuesdays and Saturdays specifically, when we do hold our live streams from 12 to 4 PDT. And of course, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day or evening or whenever you happen to be watching this video. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.